Come here. Get off.
Welcome to this week's episode of The Turn On. We're reading The Awakening by Ravel Miller. It was published in 2015. This story has a lot going on. We're going to read an excerpt from a larger book. The larger book is a part of a series. All of it has a lot going on. We'll get into that a little bit. We don't want to give too much away in order to
leave you with some
something to wonder about and a reason to read the series.
Yeah,
Nonetheless,
it's speculative fiction.
It's a speculative fiction piece, and we're about to get started. So sit back, relax, get your wine, your weed, your accoutrements, and enjoy.
Awakening by Ravel Miller. What do you want? I want you. I stared at him, mouth agape. He'd obviously lost his mind, so I need to spell things out for him. Gannon, I began cautiously. Senators don't have relationships with subordinates. They have affairs and liaisons which are kept secret. Anger rose within me as I reminded him of the reality of our worlds. I won't be used that way, and it offends me that you would seriously suggest it. Who cares what we can or can't do? That's easy for you to say. Rules are made to be broken, Kira, he ground out. I gave him a pitying look. Gannon, please. The fact that you think I would use you... Gannon turned on his heel but abruptly stopped partway to face me once again. Is it only my status that's the problem? What else would it be? What about Ty? I glanced away. Ty doesn't want me, I said it with a shrug of feigned nonchalance. I love Ty, but he didn't love me, so I would have to find a way to deal with that. I want you, and I know you want me. I threw my hands in the air. We're going around in circles, Gannon. Okay, yes, I want you, more than I want to admit. I'm so blasted desperate for you at times I can't even think straight and it confuses me, but we can't have anything more than this, whatever this is. His eyes glittered in the dim light of the room as he approached me slowly, his head cocked. You're desperate for me? I couldn't help but roll my eyes. That's what you took away from what I said? He came to stand in front of me, his chest brushing against my breast as his lips curved into a smirk. Desperate I can work with. He suddenly appeared his usual self, powerful, arrogant, and in control. 3 characteristics that made me weak when it came to Gannon Consul. My heart leapt even as I started to turn my head away. He placed a hand at the nape of my neck, stopping me. Watching me closely, he eased his hand into the back of my hair, kneading the small muscles of my scalp as he went. I tried to muffle a sigh of pleasure and ended up groaning instead. I closed my eyes, pushing the back of my head against the steady pressure of his exploring fingers. I shouldn't be allowing you to do this, I whispered as I opened my eyes. A few moments later, Gannon moved his hands back to my neck, then around my shoulders, and massaged away the tension of the minister's meeting and the argument with Ty. His steady touch lulled me into a sense of security. I closed my eyes, startled when Gannon's hands curved around my back and he pulled me flush against him. He stared at me with a feral and hungry expression. I tried to lean back, wanting to resist the way the warmth of his body drew me in, but he held me in a firm embrace. Tell me you want me. I shook my head, biting down hard on my bottom lip. He narrowed his eyes as his heart pounded heavily just above my breast. After a long moment considering me, he lowered his mouth. My body readied itself immediately for his kiss, softening and leaning into him. I sighed as I raised my mouth and, with a heavy dose of shame, flushed when he dipped his head to place a light kiss at my cheek instead. Halls, could I be an easier conquest? He chuckled. Are you still trying to deny what's between us? He asked when he licked just below my jaw. Tell me what you want. I sighed. I want you to kiss me. He nipped my neck with the edge of his teeth. No, you want more than that. Tell me, he demanded. My body trembled at the steel in his voice. I started to pant, my lungs trying to stay ahead of my leaping pulse. Its pace only increased when he ran his tongue over my lips, giving me a taste of what I wanted, but refused stubbornly to admit. All above, I wanted to be a stronger woman, but the man I had loved for years didn't want me, and the one I couldn't stop thinking about was more than willing to have me. In that moment, I was tired of fighting him. Gannon understood the terms of our reality as well as I did, maybe even more. I would take what he was offering and enjoy it for what it was. Leaning back, I held his gaze and took a deep breath. I want you to fuck me. I barely got the words out before he captured my mouth with his. He moved both hands to the sides of my face, holding me in place. Instantly, I was lost to an overwhelming assault of his crisp and sharp taste. Gasping, I grabbed the front of his shirt to steady myself as he forced me to walk backward. At the same time, I ran my hands over the front of his chest to locate each of the buttons of his jacket. I blindly opened them and then groaned when I found a shirt underneath. Too many clothes, I complained as his teeth grazed my lips. He grunted and stopped our blind trek. We continued kissing even as he removed the shirt swiftly, his moves as agitated as mine had been. I trailed trembling hands along his jaw and into the lushness of his hair. When he'd freed himself from the clothing, he tackled the buttons running down the front of my dress. I had taken special care when getting dressed that morning, wanting to be sure that I looked as professional and capable as possible. My knee-length black dress was sleek and sophisticated, its only embellishment a woven belt that buckled to the side. I thought it looked smart and gave me a proficient air. Gannon couldn't care less. I stood panting into the heat of his kisses while he tugged at the buttons, most surviving his onslaught while the rest made rapping sounds as they fell to the wood floors. Soon I took matters into my own hands and managed to remove my belt without it coming to any harm. Gannon leaned back. His eyes shone bright as they ran down the length of my body. Now that my dress had been wrangled open, I allowed it to fall from my shoulders and stood before him in my bra, panties, sheer black leggings, and high-heel boots. Nostrils flared, he swallowed hard before placing a hand against the floor-to-ceiling window behind me and pushing me harshly against it. I jolted upon impact, arching away from the coolness of the glass at my back. He surged forward, capturing my mouth once again. Wait, I said against his lips. Startled, he pulled away to look down at me with troubled eyes, his chest heaving. Did I hurt you? I shook my head, lowering my eyes to his chest and drinking in the sight of him with sputtering breaths. I'd known Gannon was fit, but I hadn't realized just how much his clothing hid from my imagination. I splayed my fingers, running them along the thick planes of muscle on his arms, shoulder, and chest. His breath hitched as I trailed a path across his nipples and down to a taut waist that looked to be carved out of stone. I circled his navel and ran my tongue along my bottom lip as I imagined licking him there. Gannon's hold on my waist tightened sharply. I glanced up to find him staring at me with a hunger that sent a shiver up my spine. If he was intimidating before, watching the transformation that came over him when lust came to life between us was nothing short of heart-stopping. Face tense, he brought up his wrist to my eye level. My health data is current. I can show you. I smiled when he showed me the information on his comm. Thank you, I said, suddenly shy. I'm on birth control. I moved to show him my own record of health, but he stopped me by sliding a hand around my neck and running a thumb along my jaw. I trust you, he said. The flickering lights coming through the window reflected in his eyes, changing them from silver blue to sea blue and everything in between. The hand resting behind me lowered to unclasp my bra. I shifted to let it join my dress on the floor. Gannon parted his lips as he placed a hand under one of my breasts, feeling its heavy weight and molding it as he thumbed the puckered nipple. I sighed at the intensity of the sensation that swept through me. My skin was on fire, kindling, burning for release. No doubt Gannon could feel the scorching heat assailing my body. He closed his eyes briefly, and the look he gave me when he reopened them was almost hostile. He kissed me then, taking my lips so harshly that they were sure to be bruised the next day. The thought of being marked by his passion sent unexpected thrill through me. Gannon forced his way past my lips and licked forcefully to gain entry. Still stroking my breast, he raised his other hand to my hair, his fingers curling into it tightly. I cringed at the bite of pain, but my heart sped when he soothed my scalp with a knowing touch soon after. I lapped after his tongue with my own, trying to taste every part of him. Suddenly he shifted and placed his hands behind my thighs, lifting me off the ground. As he licked deeper into my mouth, our tongues danced around each other. Meanwhile, I clawed at his back, trying to get closer even though we were already skin to skin. Gannon turned and carried me the short distance to his dimly lit bedroom. I reveled in the pressure of his weight on me as he lowered us to the bed. Now cradling him between my hips, I became desperate to feel him inside me and writhed against his heavy arousal, but Gannon's hand was suddenly at my hip, holding me still. "Don't move," he said tightly, giving me a desperate look that flooded my brain with a new wave of heat. Responding to the desire evident in his gaze, I ran my hands over his chest and down his waist. A thrill of anticipation blazed through me as I reached for the thickness of his cock. I frowned when Gannon grabbed my hands and pressed them beside my head. "Don't move these either." He threw me a curious look before he leaned over me, pressing me deep into the bed. Gannon kissed and licked every inch of skin down my neck and across my chest. He laughed at my breasts, making me gasp when he nipped at their puckered buds. I lifted my head, wanting to watch him as he owned my body, but I couldn't see him through his disheveled hair. Without thinking, I smoothed it back. I had only a moment to relish the cool locks between my fingers before Gannon landed a swift slap on my thigh. The stinging pain that bloomed made me cry out. He considered me carefully. "You moved," he said by way of explanation. I stared at him, not sure what to make of the slap, his nonchalance, or the way my body ignited in response to both. Holding his gaze, I slowly lifted my hand, lifting it beside my head once again. I realized that he wanted me available to him, at his mercy, and waiting for his direction. Somewhere inside me, I thought I should have felt affronted, but who was I fooling? I wasn't a virgin. I had friends who desired a bit of pain and aggression with their sex. I just had never believed myself to be like them. It seemed Gannon had awakened a need inside me that had lain dormant, seeking the right circumstance or person to give it reason to rise. Gannon grinned wickedly as he pushed up and off of me to stand beside the bed, dragging my legs and panties with him as he went. When he reached my boots, he unzipped them and tugged everything off. I only had to lift my hips to help him. He seemed more than capable in this area. My eyes narrowed as he started to unbuckle his pants. A man of Gannon's stature and looks probably has more than one of these liaisons going on at any one time. The thought had popped into my mind many times before, and I had found comfort in it as I deflected his advances. But now, as I lay before him, naked in his private apartment, waiting for him to fuck me as I had requested, no, as I had begged him to, it stung. Grow up, metallurgist. I knew what this was. I wouldn't let my heart get involved, and surely Gannon wouldn't. I didn't have time to follow the unsettling turn of my thoughts further after Gannon finally stood completely naked before me. My mouth went dry. I clenched my hands, fighting off the urge to reach for him. The rest of him was even more imposingly beautiful than I'd anticipated. His cock was long, thick, and so hard it curved up to tap against his taut belly. Roughly, he ran a hand along the length of it, stroking it from root to tip, where a pearly gleam glistened and beckoned. I pressed my lips together, anxious to get started, to feel deep inside me the power that radiated off him. I glanced up to find his eyes roving over my breasts and waist to land between my thighs, where I enjoyed the heat of his gaze. He climbed back onto the bed, running a hand up my inner thigh as he approached. "Thy tau falara," he muttered, almost reverently. I only needed to know the meaning of falara to know he was admiring me, calling me beautiful. I flushed at the sound of the foreign language on his tongue. It was one of the sexiest things I'd ever heard. Desperate, I opened my thighs wider, seeking to entice him since I couldn't touch him and bend him to my will. My body rejoiced the moment he took my mouth, igniting the very core of me. The ache between my legs deepened agonizingly, making me so wet I was certain he could smell my arousal. When he dragged his blunt fingers through the slick folds of my sex, I couldn't stand it anymore. I thrust both my hands into his hair, pulling him down to me. For a few exhilarating seconds, I sucked greedily at his lips, his tongue, and the skin around his mouth, trying to taste as much as I could. Though he had promised it, I still cried out in surprise when he slapped me again, this time much harder and on the other thigh. I squeezed my eyes shut and panted through the pain that groaned as it faded into a dull heat. Gannon ran a palm over the tingling spot on my thigh. "You okay?" I opened my eyes to find him watching me. From his careful expression, I knew he was wondering whether I was still with him, whether I could handle it. I licked my lips. "You seem so much stronger than that." Gannon's nostrils flared as deep satisfaction filled his face. He kissed me with a new sense of urgency and repositioned himself and ran his arms up mine and grabbed my wrist. Finally, I felt his cock nudge at my sex. With a quick shift in position, he thrust into me so hard I bounced up the bed. I cried out, clenching my fists as I tightened around every inch he buried inside me. "Fuck," he ground out as I became more frantic in response to his thrust. He ran a hand along the side of my neck, his fingers stroking firmly against my pulse. My heart stuttered and I gasped. A second later, I calmed down enough for him to regain control of our pace. "Gannon," I begged. "I know, Lara," he said. I flushed when he used the endearing abbreviation of Falara. He thrust again. My body clenched around his cock so tightly I felt tears well into my eyes. Gannon's deep groan vibrated through the bed. All of a sudden, an unwanted thought entered my mind. What if I couldn't reach orgasm? I would be mortified and inconsolable. I've been close before during sex. Never as close as this, but it was a possibility all the same. I squeezed my eyes shut, trying to drive away the idea. "Look at me," Gannon said, his chest laboring. I dragged my lids open. "I want your eyes on me when you come." He stared into my eyes as he forced himself deeper still on his next thrust. I nodded reflexively, wondering how I would manage that feat. If he got me to orgasm, I would probably lose all control of my body's coordination. I was nearly incoherent with arousal as it was. As soon as the thought entered my mind, I felt a flutter deep within me. I grasped at it desperately, knowing that I was almost there. Gannon must have sensed how near I was to the edge. His pace increased and strengthened. He was a piston, bucking in and out of my body so hard I thought I would combust for the sheer ferocity of his thrust. Suddenly, I felt him stiffen and lengthen almost painfully inside me. "Kira," he whispered hoarsely. His movements became less coordinated above me, so I took advantage of his lack of control to slip my hand into his hair. I grabbed a fistful of it, pulling his mouth back to mine. He groaned just as I felt my body tighten, then splinter into the most achingly deep orgasm I had ever had. I cried out his name as he pounded into me again and again. His body shook as he forced himself ever deeper inside me, the power of his orgasm visible in every vein standing in relief along his neck and shoulders. He collapsed on top of me. I threw my arms around him, holding him close as the wake of our orgasms rippled through our bodies. Eventually, after an exquisitely long time, our breathing and pulses slowed. Gannon eased up and rested a cheek on one of his fists as he stared down at me. Using his other hand, he traced undefined shapes onto my shoulder. I smiled at him. Gods, he was so beautiful. A stunning sculpture come to life. His meandering gaze met my own, pinning me into the bed. The way he looked at me both confused and electrified me. This is just a temporary diversion. I repeated the phrase over and over in my head, holding on to it. I fidgeted a bit under his weight, and he shifted his hips, dragging his cock out of me as he moved to rest at my side. He was still hard, which was only mildly surprising me. He was the most virile man I'd ever had sex with. You certainly know how to get your way, don't you? I murmured, running a finger along the side of his face and up across his hairline. He smiled, then planted a loud kiss on my mouth. Female citizens everywhere must have stories to tell, I added. His smile slipped a bit. I guess when you can give orgasms like that, I shouldn't be surprised, I said, watching his hair fall through my fingers. Thank you. I looked into his eyes to find his gaze had shuddered. I stayed my hand. What? Are you thanking me for fucking you? That's not what Then what did you mean? I hesitated. Telling him he'd finally given me the type of orgasm I'd been searching for didn't seem to be a remark he would approve of. And truthfully, it wasn't the reason I had thanked him. I was trying to put distance between us to remind him and myself both that this was only temporary, for fun. He pushed himself off me to sit at the edge of the bed. For a full minute, he sat in silence, looking away from me with his hands clenched. He seemed to be caught in a deep struggle with himself. I lay behind him, feeling the need to do something, but afraid to say anything. The tension in the room elevated with our every breath. Finally, he turned to me on a heavy breath as though he had come to some difficult decision. I guess that will have to be enough, he said, before pressing his body on top of me and easing into me again.
Welcome back. That was Awakening by Ravel Miller. This was a hot and steamy one.
Mm-hmm.
So the first thing that stood out to me was this. Well, you know what? Before we get into this scene, Kenria, will you set the scene and just kind of give us a little bit of background on the story itself?
So, as you mentioned at the top of the show, this book is part of a series, and it's the Realm series, and it's speculative fiction. So it's like fiction of like a future world, and the people in this world look all kinds of ways. So Kira is a black woman, like she's on the cover. It's clear when they describe her, she's black. Like her boss is like blue and has blonde hair, and like people look all kinds of ways. And so race isn't necessarily a thing. They just describe how they look. And so in the Realm, there's lots of different worlds, and that's why there's lots of different types of people, because they all come from different worlds and they mix. Kira is part of a caste that is thought of as being lower on the hierarchy within this world.
Within the realm, there are castes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And so Kira is in a lower caste, and Ganon, whose last name is Council, because that's the level that he sits at. It's like his family job. It's like back when like people used to be. Yes.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. And Kira's last name is Metallurgist, which you hear her refer to herself as at one point when she's telling herself to calm down. And so that's like her family work or whatever. It's like back in the day when like if you were a blacksmith, that was your. No, like in America where back in the day, if you were a blacksmith, that was your last name because that's Smith. What the fuck you did. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Exactly. And so she has this one person, Ty, who is a family friend who she is in love with. And we hear her talking about that. And he does actually love her, but he is reluctant to develop anything with her because of the family ties. And then you have Ganon, who she met at work, who clearly wants to have some type of relationship with her. Well, you got to read the book to find out what kind of relationship. And so she is struggling even in the scene, even as she is in the act of having sex, with the way that she feels about both of these men.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what stood out to me first was that this was a forbidden love or forbidden tryst.
Yeah. In her mind, because they are not of the same cast.
Yeah. And so, and throughout the entire situation, even if she's enjoying it, she's talking herself out of it. She just can't get out of her head to just enjoy what the hell's going on. Have you ever had a situation like that?
I mean, I think those are two different questions, right? One of them is have I ever been in a situation that felt forbidden? No, I don't think I have. I have been in situations where I had to like ask somebody permission about whether or not I could move forward, and I'm a grown up, so I did.
Yeah.
Have I been in situations that I knew that I thought was bad for me? Is that the other part?
Well, not even that was bad for you, but just that you had to talk yourself out of, that you wanted to talk yourself out of, or you had to talk yourself through, not even out of, but just through the situation.
Sure, but it was in my 20s, so the talking didn't stick, and I ended up going forward with some fuck shit.
Well, I was going before I even answer the question, I was going to put all your business out and say,
okay.
like, even like this relationship now that you're in, like when you're coming out of a bad or a toxic or a dysfunctional relationship and you go into something new, don't you find yourself even now with your current partner? I roll my eyes because she calls him her partner. That's some total like realm shit. Like, this is my partner. We sync bands. But anyway,
no, it is some. I don't really fuck with the patriarchy or gender roles or norms, and I don't like the idea of. And I'm grown, so saying I have a boyfriend is dumb.
Don't yuck my yum, bitch.
To me, sorry.
No, your little man friend. That's,
as somebody's auntie would say,
your little man friend. But like I think that when good, bad, or indifferent, you talk yourself through. Okay, calm down, self.
Right. This is not a red flag, actually.
Or
it is
a red flag. Or this is something. Right. Put a note in it. We need to talk about this later to figure out what color flag this is.
Yes. A lot of it, I think, is me trying to make sure that I'm not falling into old habits and making sure that I am turning a clear eye to my current situation and not letting it be colored by past things, right? So, like, it's like if a nigga gonna fuck up, let him fuck up on his own merits, not on somebody else's, right? Mm-hmm. So what works for me is not just talking to myself, which I do talk myself through it, but I also talk to you about it. I talk to my therapist about it, and probably just as importantly is I talk to him about it. So if there's something that makes me feel like, okay,
icky,
then I have a conversation with him about it, and I ask questions, and I don't assume, and I don't, keep the conversation internal where shit can lead you to chasing your tail. I ask questions and I try to get it out. So yes, I guess so. What about you?
I think that, I talk to myself all the time, and I find myself quite interesting. In the past, I found myself, talking myself into, or out of a situation, just like, this ain't right. Don't do it. But post-divorce, particularly early on when I, was first, like, just getting my feet wet. Well, just getting my pussy wet. Well, it stayed wet, but y'all know what I'm talking about.
Womp womp.
You find yourself, in the first, like, I remember the first, like, situation that I was kind of dealing with, and it was a lot of like, okay, what are you doing? Do you like this? Where are we going with this? How about we not trip about where we're going? How about we just enjoy the fact that he likes to do, and so, I found myself talking to myself, like, but in an act while we're doing the do. Yeah, I talk to myself all the time. I mean, I try. Well, no, let me not say that. I hit a point where I talk to myself. I mean, I talk to myself, and then there's a point where I just shut that off because it's just like, okay, girl, let's I think so much of sex and sexual experiences is just about being in the moment
Yeah, being
and
present.
enjoying it and being present and just, like, how does this hand feel on this titty right now? As opposed to being like, the hand is coming to the titty, the hand is coming to the titty, it's coming to the titty, it's coming, And so, up until a certain point, I'm talking to myself like, okay, girl, because, we were talking about in the other episode about how, you get to a point where you're having foreplay, doing whatever, it's fun. He was like, okay, let's go. Let's do it. Stick it in. And so I think once I get to the, okay, this was fun.
You can shut it off.
Yeah, I shut it off and I'm like, bow chicka wow wow.
Are you now? Just like that.
Well, it's more of a less of a, slow and sultry, more of a up tempo kind of
little ditty
situation.
Well, so in that vein, I don't have conversations with myself about like, what is this, where we go, not the greater relationship kind of things. By the time I'm having sex, I'm not thinking about that. But what trips me up was something that was happening with her. So earlier in the book, at some point, she's having sex and she can't come. And so when she was thinking about it with him, that was really a callback to it, because she really has trouble getting there. And so she was starting to worry about it. And in her head, which we know can keep you from actually coming. And that is something that I have done to myself before, where...
So fixated on, am I going to come, that you don't?
Yeah, or like, because you got, like, I have to focus in on it, right, for it to happen. But it has to really be like focused in on, okay, this feels like this. Ooh, that feels like that. It can't be, oh, fuck, I've been up here doing this little move for 10 minutes. This is usually what makes me come. This is like my guaranteed and I haven't come yet. Fuck, is it going to be another 2 minutes? Is he going to stay hard in this position? Because this is definitely more for me than it is for him. Do I need to do a little bit of fluffing? You know what I mean? So like then all of that is going through my head, and literally it's like my current partner can see it and he'll be like, stop, focus.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh.
Because I will literally be like psyching myself
analyzing
out.
The whole situation.
Yes, because I'm worried I'm not gonna. And what's crazy is I'm not actually that concerned with coming. Like, I very much am the journey. Yeah, I know. She's looking at me crazy.
Oh, my God.
Well, no, because I know. Here's the thing. I know I'm always going to come at some point in some way.
Yeah.
Right? Like, that's going to happen. But I am okay. Like, if it doesn't happen in the morning session, it'll happen in the evening section. I got a pretty good batting average. But every now and then, if it just feels like really elusive, I'll get kind of stuck on the treadmill of it all.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, but in general, I am very much of the journey is important to me kind of girl.
Oh, totally.
Yeah, so like if I'm having a fucking fantastic journey, but I don't fall off the cliff, I'm okay with that. Because I'm going to fall off the cliff next time.
No, if I'm having a journey,
you need to go off the cliff every time.
I don't fall off the cliff. Once you fall off the cliff, I'm going to push myself off the cliff. I've had multiple times where I've been like, okay, I got to finish myself off.
Oh, yeah.
And I do.
I've done that before,
I do.
But it's been a while.
Yeah, I mean, that was like, now I'm like, look, I try to, cause sex is for us, not just for you or not just for me.
That's right.
And so we both gotta finish. And so and sometimes it might have been, like sex, a lot of times I do come vaginally most of the time, because I know what to do and how to move you in order to make me come vaginally. But a lot of times I've come a couple times off ahead before we even get to the in and out part of the situation. And so I'm okay with that. If you've made me come off ahead, then you can get yours. But I refuse to be in a situation where you get yours and I didn't get mine. Like,
See, if I were in and I'm not saying that this is what the situation you're in. If I were in I took this nigga home and we like a one-off situation, then yes, you're not getting up.
You were here for a reason.
Exactly.
Oh, you thought I brought you here for sandwiches? No. You came home for tacos.
Exactly. But if I'm in a situation where I'm getting it this afternoon, I'm gonna get it tonight, I'm gonna get it in the morning. I have been known to even forego the penetrative just because, as I've talked before about, I like the control of making a man come. So we will do the foreplay and then I will refuse to stop the foreplay and finish the situation. They get to come. They are also very upset a little bit because I didn't and they're a caring partner. But he extra determined later on.
Make it happen.
I'm playing the long game.
You're playing a long game. Okay.
I like because then there's like this added build up and anticipation for me for the rest of the day because I know what's gonna happen later on.
You walk around like ding ding ding.
Yes.
Ding ding ding.
Yes.
You gonna put it on me. Ding 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 ding.
Because he's just a little bit mad because I ignored him and kept going and it works really well for me. But then there's also the fact that when I do come, it's usually several times.
Yeah.
So it's not, and I ain't got no shortage of orgasms.
Well,
okay. I am blessed.
Must be nice. I too. So
but that to say, like, that's me now. And that's me probably for the last few years. But me when I was super young, early on in my sexual career and didn't necessarily always know, like how you were saying that what angle to put this person, what position, what angle, what's going to help you to get there. I think, Kira in this story is very young. And so she don't know how her pussy work. She hasn't gotten to the point where she knows what works well for her and how to make that happen. And so that is why she is in this situation where she's not coming. It's because she doesn't really know how to yet.
Which is why I'd like to take a commercial break and discuss the importance of sex toys.
We were just talking to one of our friends about this.
I think it's so important for women to,
spend time with yourself.
Yeah, you got to spend time with yourself. I don't say you have to have toys, but toys are really helpful because you learn more about yourself and how to do and what to do in order to bring yourself to an orgasm. And I think also I'll probably, especially as a young woman, probably would have been less likely to jump into fucking some rando.
If you knew that you could get it
If I knew I could do it myself.
Yeah.
And how to make it happen. Like when I orgasmed with guys when I was a little young whippersnapper, a young tenderoni. Well, I wasn't a tenderoni because I wouldn't make myself come. You reach tenderoni status when you can come at will. Yeah, okay. That's in the handbook.
Gotcha.
But when I was younger, I just wasn't sure, like it would happen and be like, oh shit, hey,
right.
Like
you just happened to
glad you came, glad you showed up, but it wasn't like I knew how to make it happen.
Right.
And then
I'm like, now you get to the point. I know for me, I don't even really finish a song, like
right, like if I know how to, like, I know the
button to
the pre-check lane to Orgasmville.
Yes.
Like I know how to get there immediately. I mean, like I usually don't hack it unless I'm like sleeping, just trying to get to bed.
Right.
But like I think it's so important for us to be, normalize sex toys and get a little vibrator or a rabbit or something so that maybe I know I need to focus on my clit. Maybe I need to go deeper for the G-spot.
Right.
This is where the G-spot is. This is the position that the dick has to hit in order to hit my G-spot. All of that. I think is so important.
Absolutely. I mean, when you're what was it? It was fourth grade in my school where they split us up, the boys assigned gender and the folks who were assigned girls, and we're in separate rooms.
And all we learned about was fucking tampons and pads.
Yes.
Teach them about a clit.
Right. And and then so fifth grade we had sex ed, and we were all together, and we had like a question box where you could like anonymously ask questions or whatever, but we didn't know what to ask. And I remember at one point, or maybe it was in one of those little books that they gave you that were really just like shilling for like feminine hygiene products, like to try to steer you toward a brand. But I remember they would always tell you, like, take a mirror and look so that you can know where everything is and where it's coming out of.
Ain't no point knowing where it is if
you
don't know
how to do. Exactly. And so my point is, at that point we should also be talking about pleasure, not just thinking about our vaginas as a source of, you're gonna have cramps and there's gonna be blood, and no, that wasn't part of that. No,
even show clits.
No, they show you the urethra, they show you the vaginal opening, and they show you the anus. That's it. At least back when we learned that shit. They just show you the openings where things go in and come out.
You missed the party.
Yeah, and they only focus on the fact that things come out of those spaces, right? Yeah. Like, they talk about how you have your period. They talk about how babies come out, but they don't say shit about what it means to put things in them in a sex positive way.
Yeah.
At all.
Yeah.
And I feel like, we have to normalize it from really young. I mean,
you'll be amazed the amount of women, like, grown as adult. Because my new thing is, I buy young girls vibrators. Nice. I have a friend whose daughter, shout out to you, I know you're listening.
I know who you're talking about. Hey, girl.
Who is about to leave for college, and I'm like, she's getting a vibrator from me, because I think it's important for young women to get, to know themselves and know what's going on and feel things out. And she was like, well, what about me?
Or her mama?
Yeah, I'm like, you a grown ass woman with 2 kids, and not to, shame you or woo you.
I bought you a vibrator.
But it wasn't my first.
No, it was just because I thought you would like it. And you broke? Did you break yours? Is that what happened?
I was literally going through like divorce slash what does our therapist call it? I was on a sex sabbatical, like no dating, no flirting.
I too was on that sabbatical.
Fucking like nothing. I couldn't even flirt with anybody. It was bad. And so all I had was my trusty dusty vibrator. And when I tell you that vibrator was dusty, because I went to go grab it and that bitch was like, not today. So Kimberly was kind enough to gift me with a great vibrator. But all that to say, like, please get to know yourself, get you a good vibrator. You can do a rabbit if you're just trying to do something small. Get you a little bullet vibrator. Yeah. Put it to your clit, and I promise you will see stars in the good way.
But even, I think, backing up on that, like as a mom of a girl, and I mean of a mom of a boy too, I think it's really important that we create positive connections with our kids and their genitals. I mean, so, when my kid was born, and, folks can take this how they want, but like when I would change her diaper, I always had a smile on my face. Even if she had shat up her back.
FYI, Godmama did not, but continue.
Even if, I had to take off all her clothes because there was poop in her hair and on my bed. These are all things that happen in real life. I always, even if it smelled awful, which is what happened once she finally started eating real food, I always had a smile on my face. I never wanted her, even from the very young age of 1 day old, to ever have a negative association with her personal parts. Yeah. So to me, it started there. And then, I think people are always surprised at how early kids start to touch themselves. But it starts very early.
And you're never prepared as a parent. But you gotta, I remember the first time I found out about mine, and I freaked the fuck out.
Did you?
Internally.
Oh, okay.
Internally. Like, inside, I was like running a circle.
Why do you think you freaked out?
Just because this is my baby, and it's like I want him to still be, like, you associate touching yourself and getting pleasure from your parts with adulthood, and and so it was one of those.
See, that's part of the shift that has to happen, where we don't think of that as just being.
No, I completely agree. But instinctively, as a mom, I was just like, oh my God, he's playing with himself. Next thing you know, I'm gonna catch a little bitch in his room.
Oh God.
I mean, like that.
Yeah, that's just what it was.
That's literally what it was.
Yeah.
But externally, I was just like, hey kid, take that to your room.
Right.
Because I don't want him to have these like weird creepo, like, these weird associations with like, I can't pull out I don't need him pulling out his dick anywhere. But, like just, you meet people and they have like some of the strangest like things, like hang-ups about their body, and it's like I don't
or
want
a
him
total disconnect from their body.
I mean, he don't necessarily need to be the dude like butt naked, full frontal, having a conversation about grilling this weekend with a guy in the locker room.
Right.
But at the same time, like, I don't want you, being the kid that like has to run and hide in the corner when it's time to like, change shirts in gym, so like internally, I was like having a full meltdown just so like, oh. But externally, I was like, hey, bud, quit flicking it. Because it was one of them like, how they just like.
Just touching it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And there's no outcome they're expecting. They're literally just touching it because it's theirs and they realize it was there. And, oh, that feels like something.
And let's be honest. If I had a dick, I would not even a dick, balls. I would like, I'd probably be late to work playing with them motherfuckers.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, and not that they're just like, I don't know. But then I saw someone on Twitter, this quote goes completely uncredited. Cannot remember who said it, but someone was like, if I want to play with balls, I just play with my elbows.
Wait, we both touching our. Oh shit.
So yeah.
It's. I mean, yeah. If I stretch it all the way out, it's
and it gets a little doughy. Yeah.
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
So when I first realized that was happening, I don't remember an internal. I was just like, oh, okay, she's touching herself. And so we had a conversation. I was like, oh, okay. I was like, well, that's yours. I was like, you can touch it as much as you want. I was like, but, I think she was in the living room. I was like, but, so you know how we talked about there are some parts of our body that are just for you and that are private and that nobody else should ever touch unless you give them permission. And, I was like, and that really is just me and your doctor. I was like, that's one of those parts. So if you want to touch it, you got this amazing room. I was like, you can go to your room. You can spend as much time in there as you want to with that. I was like, it's fun. It's yours. Enjoy. And so she went to her room. She's there for a couple minutes, and then I was like, go wash your hands.
Right? Go put some sanitizer on that.
And then she went on back about her business. And so, I mean, I have definitely had to remind her over the years to go, to her room. She's good about it now. But it works. And if she ever has any, discomfort, anything around her vagina, because I was really positive in the way that I reacted to it, she ain't got no problem being like, mama, it hurt, or mama, whatever. Yeah. And I'm like, okay, well, maybe you need to give it a little. You've been touching it.
Give it a rest.
Give it a rest. I'm like, give it the night, and then in the morning, see how things are feeling. And she's like, okay. And then she go to sleep. Like, but I think it's because I've always been super intentional about making her feel comfortable with her body, all of its parts. So we need to normalize that.
Yes,
I think.
We do.
Yeah.
Something else that we need to normalize. Well, I don't know how. I think hopefully it's normalized, but this is some fancy space age pimping going on in this story, particularly in this excerpt. But I liked how they stopped to check status.
Well,
now granted, it's not, we're not walking around with it on our iPhones.
Mm-hmm. I actually do have it on my phone.
Well, in your watch. You don't just scan your watch.
Girl, I ain't got no fancy.
Exactly. I mean, but you couldn't do that anyway. But all that to say, it's not like you can just run a stat, run your information. But I thought it was really cool how this author wrote in something about that, because I mean it's missing from a lot of
Most stuff. I mean, folks don't pull out condoms. Folks don't talk about their status.
or something like that. And so I think it was really great that she added that was a part of this story.
Yeah, I just don't like that he was like, "I trust you."
But it happens.
It absolutely is realistic.
Like it don't happen.
Yeah, it's realistic as hell. It's just like, based on what, my G? Like,
yeah,
you can't.
So how do you ask? How do you do
it? It very directly. At this point, so there was this time where I was getting flued out to go see somebody who I'd been friends with for years, and we had decided that we were going to have sex. And I wanted the full complement of services. So I got, I had my test. I hadn't had sex since the last time I got testing, and I do actually keep it on my phone, saved as a favorite. And I texted it to him and was like, I want to be able to do all the things. Here are my test results. I need you to get tested and send them to me, and then we can have fun. And he said, bet, let me call and make an appointment.
Cool.
And then once he was done, he sent it to me. And my current relationship is basically how it usually goes. Like if I'm with somebody, I just be like, look, once I get to the point where I do want to be able to do all the things and I trust them and blah, blah, blah. I literally just say, look, I want us to be able to do all the things, but I can't do that unless I know that you're safe. And that means that you have to get tested. And so they do it. I need to see date stamps. I need like all the things. And I, am just as forthcoming with my own information. And no one's ever asked me to take another test. I think I've always trusted, that I was giving them. Well, no, that I was giving them the most recent information. Oh, yeah, no, I've never had them. But see, I get tested annually for everything anyway. I remember when I was living in New York. I was in my 20s and I was going, to the doctor, and it was more like it was just my regular doctor's office, and I would have them do blood tests for everything, including, HIV. And I remember one of the doctors was like, well, I mean, there are other ways to prevent HIV. You don't need to get tested every year. And I was like, are you fucking stupid?
Really supposed to get tested every 6 months.
Yeah.
If you're, out there doing it like that. Yeah.
And I mean, I was in a committed relationship, but to me, you can have I know firsthand that you can have all the faith and trust in somebody who has committed to you, and then find out that ain't what's shaking, and then you don't know what you got because you're not getting yourself just tested all the time. And so that has been, since I started having sex, I have gotten tested at least annually for everything, because I just, we can be intercommitted, whatever, and I can trust you, but who knows what the fuck you doing with your dick when I'm not around. And I'm not trying to fuck around and, have something pop up that I can't get rid of, or have long-term consequences like PID and infertility or any of these things, because I decided that I want to completely take your word on the fact that nothing was going on.
Okay.
Yeah. So What about you? How do you ask?
Yeah, I don't think I ask. I just, like you, I just do. So, no, I don't. I mean, I guess I could access my test results through my phone, but I certainly don't keep it saved.
It's just
as
a
favorite
screenshot of LabCorp.
Yeah, I don't.
So.
Yeah, I guess I could. But yeah, I say, hey, I got tested recently, or I mean, I do testing every 6 months. I do annually with my doctor, and then usually
go to Planned Parenthood or something.
Yeah, usually Planned Parenthood. Well, not even Planned Parenthood. Like I go back to my doctor, or because they're really good about like just quick checks, or I hit up the patient first, and
I've never done that there. That's a good idea.
Okay. Urgent care.
That's so much faster than Planned Parenthood. Ooh, you smart, bitch.
Yeah. So, I say, hey, these are my recent test results. Let me see yours. And then we go from there. But it used to be difficult. It used to be not a sexy conversation.
Yeah.
But now it's an even more, it's still not a sexy conversation, but when you're prepared, I'm like, oh, you really about to get this pussy because you know what you're doing.
Yeah, like that's a turn on, and we grown. Like, I don't feel like I should have to beat around the bush about whether or not you're healthy and I'm healthy and we can do this. And I think part of it too is that I do usually frame it in the context of like I want to be able to do all the things, and that is exactly why it's important to me. I mean, beyond the fact that of course we know that condoms don't protect from everything and whatnot, and even then, in some cases, there will still be times when we will use condoms, even though we have done the testing thing. It doesn't necessarily preclude from that, but it definitely makes me feel more at ease when it comes to oral sex and things like that.
Juices.
Fluids, exactly. I have to have that before I do it because I'm not interested in taking nothing home.
Office.
Yeah.
Okay. So now down to the nitty gritty of this, the actual sex. Honey, so I like a big guy. We know that, right? It's very clear. I mean, I will entertain the smaller brethren. I have.
Oh yeah.
I have.
I see a few in my head. I see a few in my head.
Yeah. But I like a big guy, primarily because I like to be manhandled. I like to be picked up and tossed around. And so when he picked her up, I was like, well, murder she wrote. You about to murder this pussy.
Yes, that was cool. And you know me, when she moved her hands after he told her not to and he slapped her.
I was gonna say, I have a note right here, knowing to give direction, so sexy. Yeah. Because it's one of those things, you have to feel it out. Not every woman is into, pain or, that element. So even bigger than the slapping her on the thigh, it was just like they were feeling it out, and he knew, not even if he knew, but he was able to kind of test the waters and see how she responded
in a way that wasn't, over the top or wouldn't freak her out.
Yeah, and she's still young in this, so it's not like he, slapped her on the thigh and threw a collar around her neck.
Right.
But it was just enough, restriction and rules to kind of surprise herself.
Yeah, when she was surprised that it actually, that it worked for her, that she liked it.
That's how I felt. I know you're a nipple gal, but that's how I felt the first time I had my nipples pinched hard. I was like, oh, what? Wait, whoa. It was like, wow, that happens? Ooh, that
for
really,
some people
really does that. Yeah, so I thought that was really cool. Just how, how he was so good at kind of nudging her towards the direction.
Yeah, no, it was good, and she followed, which is not always easy to do, especially if that's not what you're used to doing.
If that's not your thing.
Yeah, and it pushed her over.
Yes, it did. And so once she got over, they made it to the mountaintop. They sitting, looking on the side of the rock at all the land that they've conquered, enjoying
surveying
themselves,
their spoils,
surveying what happened. Her ass start talking.
This bitch
and fucked it up.
She said, "Thank you." But beyond that, she said, yeah, I'm sure there's, folks all over the realm that have experienced that.
That was her doing it. I think that was her talking out loud, talking herself down.
Absolutely.
This isn't what I think it is, what I want it to be.
Calm down, bitch. It's fine. He doing this to everybody. You're not special. Don't treat him like he's special.
Exactly.
Yes.
So, have you had a situation where you've talked yourself out of seconds?
No, I'm greedy.
So you've never been in and had a good time and then said something that completely killed the mood?
No, not that I can think of.
Yeah, this bitch told me about how a fucking transformer blew up out her window last night and they kept fucking. So I don't think there's much that killed the mood.
I mean, I did get up, but then I got back down.
So has anyone said anything to you post sex that have talked about it?
Oh God, I'm sorry. I'm seeing that whole scene last night. That made me not want to do it again.
That was just you know what? You was about to get some more head. Now your ass gotta go home.
I mean, there was the guy who I talked about in another episode who complained about how wet it was to give me head.
You said that post sex, y'all laying there naked?
It was when we were switching positions from him giving me head.
Oh.
He was like, it's just so messy. And we gotta wipe up and all of this. And I'm
You
like,
don't wipe up. You just keep going.
hello. And I was like he basically, I was like, so what, you don't want to do it? And he was like, nah, it's too messy. And that's why I was like, bet, I'm not sucking your dick no more. I literally just said that. Like, it was as we were transitioning.
Oh my God.
So he talked himself out of ever having head again for me, because I never did it again.
Yeah, note to men, a lot of times you can get so much farther if you just shut
the
up.
fuck up.
Just shut up. If you don't know what to say, or if you're not sure if it's gonna be
Don't
corny,
say nothing.
just don't say nothing, because she gonna make up some shit that you saying in your mind that's probably sexier than anything you could say.
She's giving you all kinds of grace.
Yeah, she probably said the most specific shit that you would have never thought of in a million years, but it hits her right in that button, and she's like a waterfall. So if you're unsure, just don't say shit, because it's easier to talk yourself out of some pussy than it is to talk yourself into some
Has
pussy.
anyone ever done that to you, or have you ever?
Oh, I'm queen of some like weird shit to say.
Ooh,
after
like
sex.
what?
Like, you know, me and Meat Moop, I am a robot dinosaur. Call back to episode 1 or whatever. Let me think. I mean, yeah, like I'm the nigga that could talk myself out of some dick. Well, no, I couldn't. I mean, you know, men are
simple.
men are simple.
We love you though.
We love you though. You know, bringing up old shit. You know, I'm quick to be like, whoo, you really murdered that pussy. No. Who was that bitch you was in the store with? You mean my cousin? No, I'd be like, who that dusty asshole you was in the store with? They be like, you mean my mama? You call my mama a dusty hoe? Oh, my bad. Let me just go home. I've definitely probably done something equivalent to that. I mean, I can't think of specifics, but I know for a fact that I have killed a mood or two in my day. With regard to someone saying something that would kill a mood or something being done, I mean, I can't. Oh shit! I didn't ask questions.
You ain't gonna
I ain't
answer.
thought about answers for myself.
Well, okay, I got one, kinda. While you think, I was having sex with this dude. Well,
Sorry,
bitch,
keep going.
multitask. And it seemed to me, which is what I said out loud after, that he was trying to hurt me, but not in a good way. Like, his shit was fucked up, and it's not like we had a conversation about boundaries or anything like that. But it's like the position that he kept trying to put me in was like, and it was the only position he wanted to have sex in. And it was like, if I screamed, that was like, you know, getting him really. And so I said after, I was like, you know, it really felt like you were trying to hurt me. And he just kind of froze, which is how I knew I was fucking right. And then that dude ghosted me. Yeah. Like, I think
like I can't abuse her.
like I caught, so, you know, you can be into BDSM and you can be a masochist and all of this stuff and you should be having conversations with the people that you're with and be honest about what you want and what gets you off. And if you have a consenting partner, that shit can work. But to me, it felt super dishonest. Exactly. That's what gets him off. Exactly. And so I feel like it wasn't that I said anything wrong. I think that was exactly what I should have said. And was absolutely what I wanted to say. But I do believe that that's the reason that he disappeared, because I had called him on his shit.
Yeah, because let's be clear. I think if it's possible to like say something and like completely dead it, a lot of times, I'm not gonna say all the times, but a lot of times you're like, if you're able to say something,
you got one foot in and one foot out anyway.
If you're able to say something, if you're able to say one thing that can kill everything, it's like, y'all wasn't shit anyway. You know, because even if I say something out of pocket,
the right person is laughing at your dumb ass.
Like this robot dinosaur ass chick.
Right.
Yeah. So, but I can't think of any. I mean, like, again, I've had a long and storied past. And I'll let y'all know if there was something that was said. I feel like there is, but I can't come to mind of anything where something was said to me that was like,
good.
Hey, bitch. You know. I mean, yeah. Because usually, I get all those questions out of the way up front. I mean, early on, I remember I was on a date with a guy, and I don't know why, but I got the feeling that he had someone.
It was just your spidey sense.
My
Your
spidey
intuition was
senses. And so
telling
I
you.
was
Yeah.
like, are you dating someone? Or do you have a girlfriend? He was like, nah. I was like, well, is there someone that would be upset
That you were here with me right
that
now.
you
That's the way
told
I asked
me
that question. Yeah.
that you told me that you don't have someone? I mean, I
Ooh.
said, well,
Whoop.
all right. Yeah. So thankfully I got that out of the way because he definitely was going to get some pussy. But, I got that out the way and got.
I asked that question, and I always say, is there somebody who would be upset that you're with me right now? Because saying girlfriend or whatever the fuck, they lie. I mean, they gonna lie anyway, but I feel like that one, sometimes at least gets to the heart of the matter, or they react in such a way.
Yeah.
Like in your situation, as you can tell. Exactly.
Yeah.
Where they reveal all.
Yep. So in the bigger book, the lead, what's the protagonist?
Yes.
The lead actress, the protagonist, Kira, is caught in a love triangle of sorts. She has she's torn between two.
Yeah.
If I could live without him, I would.
What are you saying?
I'm in love with another man, Jasmine Sullivan.
I don't know that song.
It is, bitch. I be in my car singing hard.
Okay.
Oh, when I'm with him. Yay! I'm sorry, y'all. I'm so sorry. Y'all got to listen to that. But I love me some Jasmine Sullivan. Anyway, so she's on some I'm in love with another man shit. Have you been, I mean, that's some juicy shit that I like. When I tell you I'm running from that kind of drama, but have you ever been in a caught between two?
No. I have been in I'm firmly over here, but I am what ifing the fuck out of this other situation.
Oh.
Bitch, you know this. Hunker down. I have definitely, yes, where I was firmly in a committed relationship, but there was a past situation where it ended not on bad terms.
It just ended.
It ended because of logistics and, whatever. And so there was always kind of in the back of my head a what if that had actually worked out kind of a situation. But it definitely wasn't a I'm torn between. It was just like, if I'm ever free, then I'll try it. And if I'm not, then I'm not, because I'm right over here. So no, I've never felt torn between two people, because I'm very much like, and I guess it still kind of holds true, although now it's much more intentional. But my cycle was always, when I was like, younger, dating, I would date a whole bunch of people and then very quickly narrow it down to somebody and then keep it moving. It was always way too quickly, as my history will show. And then once I came off of my man sabbatical, I was very intentionally dating at least 3 people at a time, very openly and, honestly, so that I would give each one the correct amount of consideration.
Yeah.
As I was trying to figure out if I wanted to spend extended time with any of those people. But it always would narrow down, or honestly, more often than not, I would just stop talking to all of them because none of them were really a good match for me. But no, I don't think I ever have. Have you?
No, I'm the type of person when I decide to rock with you, then it just, everything else cuts off.
Same.
Yeah, I mean, I used to think that shit was like, romantic and ooh, you're caught between 2 people. And I'm like, that sounds like a fucking headache.
Yeah,
I don't understand it. I don't want to have to. It's hard enough for me to care about one person, let alone multiple people. Which is what we'll get into when we discuss polyamory. Because, honey, like, I'm trying to be considered. It takes a lot.
It does. That's why I think
to be considerate of one other person's emotion.
Yeah, I mean, we're obviously not talking about that now, but like, that's why I think the people who think, oh, it's for people who don't want to commit, I'm like,
no,
it's like the opposite of that. It seems
a next
to me
level commitment to care about 2 people
or more.
Yeah, I feel like all our polyamorous listeners, y'all have like super evolved.
Right, hats off, shit.
Yeah, because this wraps up this week's episode of The Turn On.
Yay!
Once again, we did it.
We
made it past the finish line.
It was fun.
We are on the top of the rock.
We went over the cliff.
Surveying all the damage that we've done.
Damage?
All the goodness.
Okay.
We're looking upon a sea of dildos and happy faces.
I like it.
So thank you for joining us again. These are your hosts, your lovely hosts, Erica
and Carria.
And we're two hoes
making it clap.
This week's episode was produced by us, Erica, Easy E, and Killer Can, and edited by Ballistic. The theme song is from Brazy. Please subscribe to this show on your favorite podcast app. Follow us on Twitter at The Turn On Pod and Instagram at The Turn On Podcast, and find links to books, transcripts, guest info, and other fun stuff at theturnonpodcast.com. Holla!